Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, our channel, I should say. Today I'm going to talk about something I saw in Sanchin. Now, I will premise this by saying that Sanchin is not a kata I do. And so what I ended up doing is after I saw this, I asked people who did Sanchin. So I asked a lot of people who did Goju-ryu, Wichi-ryu, and I found out that Isshin-ryu will use Sanchin too. And all of them were telling me, yes, that what I thought actually was something that they were doing. And so with that, I will tell you about the witch and rue. But one of the other things I would want to talk about is every so often we do have to step back and look at what we're doing and why we're doing it. A lot of times we get stuck on we do it because that's the way we've always done it, and we stop looking at how we're progressing. Now, I do teach biology. I also teach martial arts, and one of my students I've had since he was either 3 or 4 years old. I think we can't remember exactly. Neither one of us can remember exactly. He's now 14. So this boy has been doing karate for either 10 or 11 years. And I always look at him and I always still see the little boy. Truth is, when I step back and look at him, I can see that he is actually becoming a young man. He's actually acting responsible. He's taking on a lot of responsibilities on his own. He's actually even teaching other people karate, which there are some people, it's like, should a brown belt be teaching karate? Well, if he can teach, uh, why not? And as I started looking at him, I started thinking, he's a better brown belt. He's actually better than when I first earned my black belt. And I have a little girl too, who also, she started training maybe when she was 5. She's now 14 also, 5 or 6, I think. She's now 14 also. And again, it's like I still want to see her as a little girl, but as I step back, I realize that she is maturing into a young woman. She's leading. She's actually teaching classes. She's teaching her own classes. I tell them, it's like, hey, teach your friends. It's like, if they want to learn from you, you can teach them. If they want rank, then you have to call me and I'll give them rank, and we'll deal with that. But what I started noticing is, yes, they're teaching people, they're taking on responsibilities. And again, I start looking at these kids and I start realizing they're better as brown belts at 14 than I was when I got my shodan, probably even my nidan, uh, at, how old was I? 30 something? I don't know. And so as I started looking at this, I decided to start looking at myself. And I did also look at a lot of things that had been taught. And some of those things that were really hard for me to do now have actually become really easy, and I still judge myself based on what I can't do. And so I still try to become better, and a lot of times feel like, okay, well, I should be doing all this a lot better than I've been doing, and I forget about the stuff that I have already learned. In many ways, as you're progressing, you have to step back, look back, and see where you really are, and be honest with yourself. Now, a lot of times people say, well, that's what the belt is for, but truth is, the belt is the belt rank is a visual symbol of where you are, not where you are. I mean, like I said, it's like I can say that these two students I have are better karateka at 14 than I was at 30, and the belts don't really matter. I also have met a lot of people who have told me how they're really high rank and they're not much better than someone else. I mean, and one of the things I will say is there are people who, it's like at one point they were great, and because of age, you get some people who are in their late 80s, early 90s, and they can no longer do the same things that they could, but they can do a lot of other things, and they can teach what they're doing. Interesting thing is, there was actually a question on the internet about who should teach karate, and my answer is whoever has something to teach should be teaching. Uh, I don't care about rank, and I have told people I have gone to seminars where a white belt, or actually, usually it's a first level black belt, a shodan, is teaching, and they know what they're talking about. If you think about it, you may be a martial arts expert. Let's say you're a martial art expert that everyone says, okay, this person understands martial arts, but do you know the law? I will actually say, if when it comes to law, I don't know the law any more than what a couple lawyer people I've talked to have told me. But if people were going to ask me, oh, well, what's a legal ramification of X, Y, Z? I'd have to say that's beyond my scope. Go to a lawyer. Likewise, I have a degree in medicine. I can tell you how things work in medicine, in Western medicine, but a lot of times people will tell me, well, how does this work in Chinese or Eastern medicine? And I have to say, I'm not qualified to answer that. A lot of times you have to, when you actually are doing stuff, you have to know where your qualifications are and what they are. For instance, if you think about it, if you're looking at trauma, you can have people who are very specialized in occupational therapy. But when it comes to trauma, usually, especially life-threatening trauma, what you usually want is a medical doctor who specializes in trauma. Or actually, a lot of times, if you really want someone who knows what you can actually go to a field medic with a lot of experience. They a lot of times can look at that and be like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. So the thing is, a lot of times we actually have to know our limitations. And people a lot of times forget this. And so one of the things that happens is a lot of times people will teach something and they'll put themselves off as a expert in, you name it. Let's say expert doctor in English. And they're talking about the human body. Well, a doctor in English doesn't necessarily know how the human body works. I've actually had conversations with colleagues who taught either microbiology, and they thought they were teaching medical microbiology, but they didn't understand the difference between why bacterial meningitis was more dangerous than viral meningitis. I mean, this is something that a first-year med student has to know. And so the thing is, you have to realize. Now, I will say is, if you want to know research methods of microbiology, these guys who are teaching, they knew the research methods, but the medical aspect, they were grasping. They were basing it on their limited knowledge of medical, the medical fields. And yes, there is a big difference between research and medicine. Now, the place I'm actually going to talk about is the Sanchin coming here, whichever. What you notice is the elbow is actually pointing in, and it really is. If you go under the elbow, you'll notice that you're actually at a spot where you can feel ribs. Now, this is one good advantage of being overweight. Yes, I'm going to show off my belly. And so you can actually see where where I'm talking about. So no laughing. So if you look over right around here, and you feel it on yourself, you can actually see it. So I don't know which one you'll see it better, but it's actually right here on both sides. You'll feel a little rib coming out. That's your 7th and 8th rib. And what you'll notice is, even in a fat guy, this part right here, or here, you actually have direct contact to the ribs. Now, in Sanchin, you're here. So if you're trying to hit that area, you're actually not going to be able to hit it from this angle. If you're trying to hit this angle, you're hitting your elbow. And if you're over here, the point is here, so you can see if you're hitting, you're actually hitting the elbow instead. And so what I found is people were really well protected when they did Sanchin. They were really protected that when they were in that position there. And so the conditioning was perfect because, hey, you're in that position, you can take a hit mostly anywhere and nothing's going to break. Now, there are some people who say, oh, well, you can condition your ribs. And the answer I would give if someone asked, can you condition your ribs? I would say no. The reason is the inside portion of your ribs here is made of cartilage. And that cartilage needs to be able to allow some movement. If you start conditioning that cartilage, what ends up happening is, if it works, you would end up losing the mobility there. So what happens is you can no longer breathe. Not a good thing. And so one of the things that I found is, like I said, I don't do Sanchin, but when I asked, I got a lot of interesting things. Most of it was, yes, that's what we're trying to do. And I always believe that by looking at other styles, looking at other systems, we can really understand more of our own karate. Next time I am going to talk slowly. I will tell you I am going to talk a lot about things that I find different. Sometimes I've actually wanted to say stuff and haven't because of just positions. And I recently was not just looking back at my own rank and skills, but of other things I had done, mainly trying to save enough money to be able to retire eventually. And so as I get closer and closer to that, I have more and more freedom to what I can or can't say. So you will start hearing some of the stuff from my points of view. Thank you, and have a good day.